Hey YouTube, this is Unger to the Max here. And although I am not an Ohio State fan, I am actually a Penn State Nittany Lions fan. I gave you the breaking news a few days ago that Ohio State and Alabama had agreed to play a home-and-home series in 2027 and 2028. And again, I'm not an Ohio State fan. Like I said, I'm a Penn State fan. But at the same time, I like that Ohio State is scheduling these high-profile opponents. They also agreed to do a home-and-home series with Georgia. And I believe Ohio State also agreed to do a home-and-home series with Notre Dame. And this season, the Buckeyes were supposed to start a home-and-home series with the Oregon Ducks, because Ohio State was actually supposed to go on the road to face the Ducks in Eugene, Oregon at Autzen Stadium. But due to the current coronavirus pandemic that we are all currently going through, my guess is that's not going to happen. So, my prediction is that next season, the Ducks will come to Columbus, Ohio to play the Buckeyes, at Ohio Stadium, aka the Horseshoe. And then in 2022, they'll play each other again at Oregon to make up for potentially not playing each other in Oregon this season. Hopefully that makes sense. So let me just say it one more time. This season, Ohio State and Oregon are supposed to play each other at Oregon. But because of the coronavirus, that might not happen. So, I think that next season, they'll play each other as scheduled in Ohio Stadium at Columbus. And then in 2022, they'll play each other at Oregon. There you go. Now, I would like to see Penn State and other teams, not just Penn State, but I'd like to see Wisconsin or Florida, Clemson, LSU, Baylor, whoever. I'd like to see these high-profile teams do home-and-home series against each other and not do neutral site games. Like, for example, Wisconsin and LSU played each other, and it was a great game. But was it at Camp Randall Stadium or was it at Tiger Stadium? No. It was in Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Now, that essentially made it a Badgers home game. But if you're just going to put the game at Lambeau Field, why not just move the game to Camp Randall Stadium and give Wisconsin a high-profile home game? Hey, you did that with Texas this season. LSU went on the road to play the Longhorns in, at the time, a top 10 showdown. Now, that win for LSU at Texas started them on a magic carpet ride that included wins against Auburn at home, wins against Alabama, wins against Florida, unfortunately, as I am a huge Florida Gators fan. They destroyed Oklahoma in the college football playoff semifinal, but I don't think that means Oklahoma didn't belong. It was just a bad matchup for them against LSU. And then, after being down early against Clemson, LSU was like, we're tired of playing around. And they just went on to destroy Clemson. So, it makes you wonder, what if Clemson was not in the ACC? What if they were in the SEC? You would get high-profile matchups like what I'm talking about. You could get Clemson against Alabama potentially every year. You could get potentially Clemson against Georgia, Clemson against Texas A&M, Clemson against Florida, Clemson against LSU. I don't know. It just seems like there are interesting matchups that you could potentially create if Clemson was in the SEC. But I really encourage these schools to schedule home and home series against each other. Because, yeah, neutral site games are great. I'll give you that. It allows both fan bases, I should say, to be there and support their team. But at the same time, I loved watching Auburn against Oregon at Jerry's World, which is actually known as AT&T Stadium, the home of America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, but they're not actually America's team. I would give that title to either the Green Bay Packers or the Pittsburgh Steelers, which coincidentally they played against each other in Super Bowl 45 at Dallas in Jerry's World. And even though I don't like the Packers, I might want to buy that Packers Super Bowl film because they were a wild card. Anyway, we're getting a little off topic. So my main point is, LSU and Texas are going to finish their home and home series this season. If, college football happens. Because Texas is supposed to play LSU in LSU. Ohio State and Oregon, like I said earlier, they're scheduled to play each other at Oregon. Do you see what I'm saying? Again, I love these high-profile matchups, but they don't need to be neutral site games. Give me these high-profile matchups in the home team stadium. It adds an element of atmosphere. For example, this wasn't a home and home series, but in 2010, Ohio State was the number 1 team in the country, okay? And they're on the road at Wisconsin, the number 18 team in the country, I believe it was. Okay? College game day was there. It was arguably one of the biggest games of that season. I believe the national championship that year would be Oregon against Auburn, if I remember correctly. Anyway, my point is, there was an added atmosphere because not only was it a primetime game, not only was it at Camp Randall Stadium, which has, from what I've seen on TV, one of the best atmospheres in all of college football. I would love to go to a Wisconsin Badgers football game, as long as they're not playing Penn State. Because if they're playing Penn State, I'm rooting for Penn State, but I want to be able to root for Wisconsin. So yeah, because I like rooting for the home team when I'm in another team's stadium. Anyway, so, like I was saying, Wisconsin in 2010, they're playing at Camp Randall Stadium. It's college game day was there. The number 1 team in the country was in the house. And the atmosphere was amazing. I mean, again, I know it was Big Ten football because it was Ohio State, Wisconsin. But my main point is, if you do these high-profile matchups in the home team stadium, that's going to add an extra element of, atmospherics. And I don't know about you, but atmospherics for me are a big part of the game. That's why I'm hoping that if we have an NFL season, the Cleveland Browns remove fireworks from their games because they scare me half to death. And sometimes I have to, go down the stairs from my seat and go into the main concourse area and watch the play develop on a TV instead of being in my seat watching because I get scared of the fireworks. I can't be in my seat and watch the Browns player introductions because of the pyrotechnics. I'm getting better with it, but at the same time, it's a little bit ridiculous. So, yeah. So that's going to do it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, punch that like button like a UFC fighter and punch that subscribe button. Until next time, this is Unger to the Max, signing off.